It's Tuesday, 23rd of July. It's about 10:30 at night. And today's moment was I was talking to one of the other puppy owners. She owns Diamond's sister. And we were talking about how they're getting on and how we're coping with them and what we do to support them, help them develop into the dog they can be. So we were talking about that and lots of things. And I mentioned that I've tried to get Diamond to associate being picked up with having treats, with nice things, nice associations with being picked up. Because, you know, a lot of the time, particularly when she was little, it was being picked up to get her away from trouble from our point of view, but from her point of view, something very fun and nice that she was investigating. Thank you very much. And I've tried to, say to her, I'm going to pick you up now, and give her visual cues and sort of just put my hands on her and say, literally say, I'm going to pick you up now. So that it wasn't a case of, you're just a little dog on the floor and I'm going to scoop you up and you're never going to know what's happening next, because I think that would be horrible and very unsettling, and I would be really tense if I didn't know if and when I was going to get scooped up. So I've tried to sort of let her know that. However, one of the things I haven't been able to avoid is, sometimes when she's biting on the sofa or on somebody's lap and biting, she needs to be got off that lap quickly. And so sometimes one of us picks her up off somebody else's lap, and she hasn't been taken to that very nicely. So we've worked on that. And there was a whole conversation about that. But then I realised that, again, when she was very little, when I needed to get her outside to pee or poo, she'd just woken up, for example, and I was like, right, come on, you've got to come outside for a pee or poo. If I let her walk, she would often just run off somewhere else in the house and pee or poo. And then what was the point of taking her outside, because she'd already peed or pooed? So I started picking her up, warning her, picking her up, and bringing her outside to pee or poo. And that worked from the... Oh, good girl, hurry up. That worked from the point of view of the toilet training. That was great. And actually, because she was normally only just waking up, she was sort of in a really soft mood and didn't mind being picked up, and she was coming out of the crate or pen to be with us. So that was a positive association. So that worked well. That wasn't a problem. But I've kept doing it. I've kept carrying her because I have assumed that she would still have that tendency to run away and pee and poo somewhere else, and it would be a problem. And I haven't kept up with her development, and I haven't realised that actually she is realising there are benefits to doing as you're told, really, to doing as you're asked to do. But she has been picking up on things like, I think I said last thing at night, she's picked up on the routine and the fact that I go and get the treats and then I come back in and then I give her lovely treats in the crate. So she started going into the crate, and as soon as I realised she was going into the crate of her own volition, of her own free will, I started saying in bed as she went in, so that she would associate, oh, I go to bed, that's a command. So I was trying to put it onto a cue straight away, or as soon as I realised. That's something I've carried on doing. So she is picking up on routine and expectations. Oh, good girl, hurry up. And she's doing a poo now, yay. So she is picking up on that, and I've been a bit slow to pick up on that. So today good girl. Today I've let her walk a lot more, and I've encouraged her to come out, and she's been really good. And it actually works really well. I don't know if that was a cow or something. That was a cow. Okay, yep. The cows have got something to say. And it actually works really well having a well-trained dog already in the house, because I can stand by the back door, for example, and whistle. Mischief comes running towards me, so Diamond comes running after her, and then I can reward her and say, oh, good girl, yeah, we're going out, and teach her what these cues and commands mean. That's going to tire her out. Physically, that's going to tire her out more. I don't know what's going down the road outside. I think it will possibly tire her out mentally more, because she's having to think about what she's going to do. Is she going to do what I'm asking her to do? How is she going to travel to me? does she go under the table, round the table? Does she nip off into the lounge first? Does she go for a drink? She's got all those issues with self-control and decisions that she's going to make. So hopefully that's going to tire her out physically and mentally. I have, I guess, fallen into small dog syndrome, because if she was the size of, a Labrador, and she's coming up to 5 months now, I would not physically be, I probably wouldn't be able very easily physically to pick her up and whisk her outside. But because she's little, I can. And so that's something I'm going to have to think about again and reassess all my decisions about what I'm doing with her in view of she is more responsive now. She's learnt a lot. She knows the routine a lot better. She's more... I think it's not fair to say she's more willing. She's always been willing, but she understands more. And I understand more about what she's saying to me and what she's likely to do. So that's... there's the cow again. So that's going well. And I think all that put together means that I can give her a bit more freedom and let her walk a bit more. And that's going to help. That's going to feed into the situation and make things even better as we go forward. So that was today's moment. And by that I mean all these things that you perhaps forget or overlook or fall into a bad habit, or, me the owner, falls into a bad habit, not the dog. That's something else we're going to do going forward. We're still doing Operation Brainwork, and she's having her food partly in the distraction toys and cardboard boxes and things. Sorry, she's running around and I didn't want her to run through the poo. Oh, you've got your toy again. Good girl. So that's where we are. We've had a good day, and I feel like that's a good breakthrough to have made, and onwards and upwards. The one trouble with striving onwards and upwards is it keeps you busy. We've had a couple of days of not recording anything and just being and just trying to implement all the new regimes we're trying to do. And, we've had some lovely times. She's getting lovely to be around. We had a really good day Wednesday, I think, and then yesterday, I think possibly she didn't get enough. I know I'm always making excuses for her, but sleep and food. And by the evening, she was a lot. But Wednesday, I actually other people went off to bed or bath or whatever. And I actually had the two dogs just on my own for over an hour, and it was fine. It was absolutely fine. And they just chilled and hung out and played and wrestled and, did what dogs do. And then last night, as I say, I think she was tired or hungry, or I don't know. But we had to sort of get her back in the pen when she bit us or mischief, and then getting her out and trying again, and then popping her back in the pen. So, it's been ups and downs and that kind of thing, swings and roundabouts. And she's got 2 crates, and she's got umpteen beds to choose from, and cushions that we've given her, and pillows we've given her, and, all that kind of thing. And I gave her a small cardboard box, but a very, very sturdy small cardboard box, the kind that you get sort of fruit in the supermarket. And I really gave it to her because I thought it would be something good to have a chew at. And we've used it to store toys in and to move the toys easily all together from one crate to another, or outside and inside and whatever. And she really took to it. And also, obviously, there's pee and poo around a lot of the time, and the cardboard box, you can just pop in the recycling and it doesn't matter if it gets dirty. And she's really taken to this cardboard box, and she's taken to lying in it and chewing it. And then today she actually chose to have her nap in there. And that is so sweet. It's just the right size. And she sort of curls up in it. She must feel cocooned, held, embraced by the cardboard, I think. And she must feel quite safe. But it's really sweet. It always intrigues me that it's not I project things onto the dogs, and I think, well, you will like a cushion or a soft bed or whatever. And then often they'll go, no, I'll just lie on the floor, thanks, or I'll lie in this cardboard box. Or I don't know if it's temperature, or I don't know. Maybe if I was covered in fur, I wouldn't mind lying on a hard floor as well. I don't know, but they make decisions differently from how I expect. And the other thing is, Diamond's really found her bark in the last couple of days, and I don't know why, but there was somebody sort of walking near the garden, and she let rip with a real volley of barks, and she doesn't sound like a little dog. And she, she really, really let rip with, "What are you doing there? I can see you. I'm a big dog. Woof, woof, woof." And then very sweetly she ran straight, Mr. Dogcaster was with her, and she ran straight back to Mr. Dogcaster and so went, "You stand with me just to make sure I don't get got, but I've done some barking. I've done my job." Now, if one of them barks, the other one joins in and sort of backs them up. And I always love that when that happens. They're both quite alert dogs. We had Buddy and Star together, Labrador and Bichon Frise. And Star, although smaller, was much more of a watchdog. And in fact, one of the neighbours came and said, "Your little white dog is very fierce, isn't she?" Well, that wasn't our impression of her at all. She was very loving, very opinionated, in a good way, But she didn't tolerate fools. Yeah, she had her own agenda, but very affectionate and she loved whoever she loved, whether it was requited or not. She just loved you or not, on her own terms. So she was much more the watchdog, and she would start barking, and Buddy would be asleep. He'd start barking and sort of wake up and be barking before he really knew what was going on. You could see him looking at her going, "Why are we barking? Why are we half asleep still?" So when Buddy went to sleep, he was spark out, and he really, really relaxed. Whereas Mischief is much more akin to the German Shepherd that my mum had years ago, and she never quite switches off. She's always got one ear up, one eye open. And I think Diamond's going to be the same. And Ben, the German Shepherd, was always sort of aware of his surroundings, and it's the difference really, like with Buddy. If you were fussing him, he would just abandon himself to the fuss and just lie on his back, and that he'd be there. Whereas Mischief will always sort of she'll be having the fuss, and then she'll suddenly look somewhere, she'll sort of pull herself out of the fuss, and she'll look and just check things out and go, "Yeah, okay, it's okay," and then come back to having the fuss. And I really love those little insights you get into their characters of what's going on in their little, well, not so little, but in their doggy brain, So that's been interesting. I like insights that, well, to be honest, I like insights into them and what they're thinking. But then that sets off a chain of thought in my head that often it ends up in a story or article or whatever. So they're generally useful to have around, because they start me off on trains of thought that sometimes end up in money. Good morning. It's Saturday morning. Yes, it is morning, actually. Haha. And I'm sat in the garden. Where else do I ever go? I've got a cup of coffee. Diamond's having a sniff around. And the birds are singing. The cows... I'll just stand up and have a look. The cows are just ambling around their room. There's one cow with twins. She's always got her two little babies with her. And she feeds them, and they just hang out together. And it's lovely. And in fact, it was living here the first time we saw the cows come out. The cows are in the barn for the winter. And the first time we stood here in the spring, good girl, hurry up, good girl. The first time we stood here in the spring and watched the cows brought from allowed, sort of from the barn back to the field. And they're just so overjoyed to be back out in the world, in fresh air, and have access to grass and freedom and the ability to run, and they just skippity around all over the place. And you've got these grown cows, never mind the calves, the calves as well, but you've got these grown cows who are so happy to be out in the fresh air again. And as we watch them all gambolling around and running up to one end of the field, and they did it together, they did it individually, they just explored this access to new space that they'd got, and they sort of went up to one end of the field and back to this end, and around and across and up and down and milled about. And it was just so lovely. And Jenny just looked at them and went, "I'm going to have to go vegan." And that was the start of them being vegan, or at least trying to be vegan. That's a long story I'm not going to go into now. And I get that, because at another point I stood here and watched them and thought, isn't it lovely that they get to keep their babies with them? That's really lovely that they don't mind that they have the milk. And then I kind of thought, another day, I thought, isn't it funny that they don't fetch them in to be milked morning and night? That's so strange that they don't. Well, hang on, that must mean they're not milk cows. Oh my goodness, they're meat cows, they're beef cows. And I'm vegetarian, and that was a big shock when I actually thought, oh my goodness, I'm looking at these poor animals that are just going to be killed and eaten. And to me, that's such a foreign concept. Again, that's a long story, but my mum went off meat when she was pregnant with me. She didn't know initially she was pregnant. She went off meat, and meat smelled bad to her. And then I was born, and Mum could eat meat again, and I didn't ever like it. And when I was 5, Mum gave up trying to force me to have meat. And sort of said, right, well, if you get rickets, don't come running to me. I know the rickets isn't from not eating meat. That's what was said. And I think it was a shock to my family, because they're all, rabid meat eaters, and then I wasn't. So I think that was a shock. And at the time, if we went out, I suppose I always say when I was about 10, but like at the time if I wanted to go out, we wanted to go out somewhere, to a restaurant to eat or anything, and you sort of said, oh, is there a vegetarian option? It was like, I can do you an omelette, and that was it. Then vegetable lasagna crept in, and you could have an omelette or vegetable lasagna. And strangely enough, I still like omelette, not so keen on vegetable lasagna. And I know now why it is. It's because they put Mediterranean vegetables in, and I'm not that keen on Mediterranean vegetables. Yeah, how did I get here from Saturday morning sitting on the wall? Anyway, I never know where these little chats with you are going to take us. There is a dog here. It is the inane ramblings of a puppy owner, and the puppy is here, present. I've taken my eyes off her, so she's probably found a screwdriver, taken the gate off its hinges and escaped. I feel bad now, because she's just lying on the patio. I just couldn't see her behind a bush. And you're just being a good girl, aren't you? Are you a good girl? I don't know what she's got. Something spiky, possibly a thistle. Yes, she likes spiky things. She was out yesterday with my mum in the garden, and there was a bramble apparently sneaking under the under the wall, and Diamond sort of just was interested in it and started pulling at it, and basically uprooted it. She did some nasty weeding for us, but she uprooted it, and then she bit it into pieces. And she bites, she chews holly leaves. She doesn't seem to be put off by spikiness. And she doesn't cry out and kind of go, oh, that hurt me. So I've either got a very, very hard dog, or she's very clever and... what's the word? Dexterous with her mouth. I don't know what the word for dexterous is when it's with your mouth. I don't know. Do you know? But yeah, she is very dexterous with her mouth. So I hope you've enjoyed this chat this Saturday morning. I have, thank you. You've brightened my little... I'm sitting on the wall. Don't know if I mentioned that. I've got a cup of coffee. It's not terribly... Well, it's a perfect conditions for me, because it's not raining, not too hot. It's a nice day. It's a little bit overcast, I suppose. But I think it's a jolly nice Saturday morning. Yes, I do say jolly. And I think it's smashing. It's a jolly nice Saturday morning. Hope you're having a lovely time wherever you are. I just have to add this, that I've just watched that cow. I hope you're not eating at the moment, but if you are eating, just pause this for a bit and come back to it. I've just watched that cow with the twins. She's standing up and she's feeding the twins, and it's all lovely and idyllic. And then she just lifts her tail and does a poo while she's feeding them. And it wasn't so idyllic. But, I mean, I kind of admire that. That's just the ultimate multitasking. I'm busy, I'm looking after the kids, but I need to do a poo. I'm just going to do it, I think cows have different priorities from us. And I think that's sometimes you just need to poo. I mean, it's not going to be embroidered on anything. It's not going to be put on a beautiful photo and passed around Facebook, but sometimes you just need to poo. This has been the inane ramblings of a puppy owner, with Julie Hill, and sometimes with Diamond the Papillon, and often with Mischief the German Spitzklein. You can find our regular podcasts at dogcastradio.com. And if you have a dog, whatever you're going through with your dog, I'd love to hear from you.